Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to get a dose of sunshine from Sara Schroeder. She is an executive life coach. You won't believe her story. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's I Spies.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I love the quote from the late, great Zig Ziglar, you got to eliminate the stinking thinking. And so much of what happens in our lives is not what somebody said to us, but the fact that we replayed it 100 times. Or we did something wrong and then we spend the rest of the day beating ourselves up. So much of how you approach life is the story that you're telling yourself. Someone who knows that very well is my next guest, Sara Schroeder. She is an executive life coach, and she's my friend.
Hi,
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on here.
Well, I want to hear your journey. I mean, did you just wake up one day and say, I want to get into coaching, or how did it evolve?
It kind of evolved. So I have an interesting story. I started off as a professor at UNT. I taught college writing 1 and 2. It was great. I loved my kids. I was young. I was probably 24. So they felt that they could come and talk to me about their assignments, right? But also just about life. Like, how do I navigate college? What do I do here? And the fact that they trusted me to do that, I thought that's what I loved the most. And while I was teaching, I had the opportunity to become a personal trainer with Camp Gladiator. When it was just starting out, I was their number 15 trainer. Wow. And so then I came on board, and myself and another trainer at the time opened up CG Denton. So I was actually personal training in the morning, teaching during the day, and then personal training, the group fitness at night. Wow. And again, it was a lot of, mindset stuff, transition stuff, like fitness, of course, but there's so much behind the scenes. Yes. And again, I was like, man, I love this, helping people overcome their limiting beliefs. And working with one of my mentors in 2019, he was like, what do you really want to do, Sara? And I said, honestly, I want to do what you're doing. I want to become an executive life coach and help people with their transitions, help people reframe their negative thoughts for a more positive life. Sure. And he looked at me and just said, well, why aren't you? Okay. So the very next day I went and got my LLC and I started doing that. So then I decided to sell the fitness franchise and solely do the executive coaching, which I've been doing for a little over 5 years now.
Wow. And truly your eyes light up when you talk about it. So you found your purpose, haven't you?
I did. I really did. Yeah.
Very cool. I urge you to follow her on social media because she comes up with all these great tips. Here's one of them.
Happy Monday. So how are you on a Monday? Are you one of those, oh, it's Monday, I don't want to go back to work, especially after a holiday? Or are you like, bam, it's Monday, let's go? I mean, you've got a choice, right? That's the whole thing. You have a choice in that. And instead of dreading the Monday, why not love Monday? Why not make Monday one of the best days of your week? What would that do for you? How would that change how you wake up in the morning? How would that change the way you show up while you're making your coffee and getting ready? How would that change your drive to work? Like, what would it do if instead of absolutely dreading Monday, you said to yourself, why not love Monday? How would that make you show up in your life?
And I think that positive mindset is so important, especially as we get into, this turbulent time where we've got wars going around the country. People are, getting hit with inflation. We're in an election season, which means there's a lot of negativity out there. Mm-hmm. So give us some advice on how to just stay focused on being the best version of you at a time when sometimes the world seems uncertain.
Yeah, well, a really big thing is to understand what you can control, right? And people say that's easier said than done. It actually is really easy. You just have to make the decision, this is easy to do. And it starts with when you wake up in the morning. So I like to say, tiny change, big result. Instead of waking up in the morning and thinking, what if? Like, what if I fail? What if they judge me? What if this? What if there's an emergency? What fire am I putting out today? What if you said, why not? Why not wake up and approach this day in this way? Why not do it as if I already know I'm going to succeed? Because if there's a failure, there has to be success on the other side. That's the law of polarity. That's how it works. If there is a problem, there's a solution. So what if I succeed? What if this emergency ends up being something great in my life? If you just reframe the thought to something more positive and you practice that and sift through that, like really think on that thing. I like to think of it as the 4-8 principle. I'm reading this book right now, and it's whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is great, whatever is just, commendable, like meditate on those things. If you really meditate on the success and the good, you're going to find more of that in your life because that's what you're focused on. And what you focus on is what you attract.
Sarah, you were sharing a wonderful story about a client you helped right before the show. Would you share that with the audience?
Yes. So one of my favorite stories of all time, I had a client who was purchasing a house, I guess a couple years ago when the market wasn't great whatsoever. And he wanted a specific school district for his daughters, and he wanted it in a certain area of town, all of this, right? And he called me and said, I found a house. He was talking about it. And I mean, he sounded like he was okay with it and whatnot, but had already started saying, I'll probably have to fix this. I'll probably have to do that, that kind of mindset. And he is in the industry where, investing is a big deal. So I asked him, I was like, do you really want to purchase this house? And he said, well, I don't know. But then he started giving excuses like, well, the market's really bad, all of this. And then he said, Sarah, I just can't make a house appear out of thin air. And I just said, why not? And he got a little flustered a little bit and said, well, okay, I don't know. I'll think about it. We'll call you back. I'll call you back. And, we had talked about if that would be the house, then that's the house. But don't make that the option. Continue looking just a little bit longer. Have a different mindset. Think differently. He called me at the end of the day and said, you are not going to believe this. My realtor found something that wasn't on the market yet, a new land development, and he bought an acre in the school district that he wanted, exactly where he wanted. And the house wasn't there yet. He just had the lot. And he's like, so I really did make a house appear out of thin air. Well, that's one of my favorite stories.
I'm a big fan of the movie and book, The Secret, and that's the law of attraction. I mean, if you maintain this positive attitude that, God, I don't know why this is happening, but there must be a rainbow after this storm. It's a great way to live life. Let's talk about negative self-talk, because we all do it, right? Yeah, you did something wrong, and then you beat yourself up afterwards. Do you find yourself creating some kind of way to get yourself out of that loop? Because if you tell it to yourself about 500 times, you believe it.
You start to believe it, right? Yes. And yes, so I have a series of I call them power prompts that I do every morning. And that helps me get into the right mindset of who I want to become, right? So it starts with, what do I need to forgive from yesterday? What am I committed to today? If I broke the commitment yesterday, what do I need to do today to not break that commitment? One of my favorite ones, what is a win that I can look at that keeps the momentum going? Because that proves I can do it, right? And let me say, so what's a way that I can think about a problem differently? How do I want to show up? And what do I need to visualize today? And that helped me. I will tell you, yesterday, I was in a funk yesterday morning. I woke up, did my prayer, did my journaling, and I did not want to go work out. I mean, I did not at all. And, when you lack that motivation, it's like, well, if I miss a day, no big deal. But I sat and thought to myself, because of these questions, I was like, the Sarah right now doesn't want to do it. But what does the Sarah a year from now want? And do you want to be the Sarah a year from now? And I said, yeah, that's how I want to show up, is the year from now Sarah, So I went and worked out. And it wasn't the greatest workout, but I went and did it, and I felt great afterwards, and that helped me throughout the rest of my day.
I love that. And since you already mentioned working out, you get up early. How early do you get up to wake up?
At 4:50, that's not awful.
That's pretty early. We've got some video of her, and she posts a lot of her exercises on social media. So this is you, I think, a couple years ago. And why don't you describe what you're doing here?
Okay, yeah. Well, I have a weighted vest on, a hyperwear weighted vest, and this is a burpee bear crawl variation. So you do the bottom of a burpee, bear crawl forward, backward, push up to a burpee. And yeah, that's actually, I used to love burpees more than anything. People were like, Sara is the burpee queen, and I still love them. I'm a little bit older than this video, so they're not my favorite thing anymore, but I will do it.
That's like a full body workout.
Yeah, that right there. And, to modify things, because sometimes it's like, that's cute. I can't do that, Sara. Cool. Take the jump out of it completely. Yeah. Do push-ups on your knees. Maybe don't even do the bear crawl. You can modify anything. And that's the greatest thing when it comes to coaching, starting where you are. Because we're not starting in the past. We're not starting where you want to be. You can't get to where you want to be unless you realize where you are. And so that's where, we have to modify. Awesome. Let's go from there and then get it.
Well, I know you're also blessed with two amazing parents, so we're going to show some pictures off of your Facebook of your mom and dad. And I want you to talk about, the traits that you get from them. What do you draw from them?
Yeah, they're so much fun. My parents are the most amazing people. They're just fun. My mom is extremely vibrant. There's not a single person who doesn't love my mom, because she's just, when I say crazy, she's fun. She just tells it like it is. She's just up there having a great time. My dad tells a lot of jokes. That's the one when we were at the botanical gardens. We had so much fun. And I'm an only child, so I'm really close with my parents. And they used to live in Prosper for a long time, and then decided they were going to move. It was just them two. They didn't want the pool anymore, that kind of thing. And they were going to move somewhere else. And then my mom called me one day and said, actually, we found a house, and it's in Denton. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, it's off of Ryan Road. I was like, okay. That was 5 minutes from my house. And so at first, you're kind of like, oh, that's a little close. I'm not really sure. It is the greatest thing. I love it. Every Thursday morning, I go have coffee, and they do crosswords. So I do crossword, not difficult crosswords, but I do coffee and crosswords with my parents on Thursdays. I just, sometimes my mom is like, hey, I'm making scallops for dinner. Do you want to come over? Yes, I do. Wow. Yes, I do want to come over. Or she'll do brunch. And so it's just awesome. I went golfing with my dad the other day. It's just a blast.
I love it. Now, have you always been positive? As a little girl, did you have a big smile?
What? I was really shy growing up, which is weird. I don't know how it came out, when it came out, but it was like I was holding myself back, because it was just, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I was a people pleaser, totally. And just don't make mistakes, don't do this. And then once I started with my coaching and realizing who I am, and with the support of my parents too, they're like, you do, you. Wow. And so then I realized who I am and what I'm meant to do, and then it just and then when you fully embrace it, it's like, whoa, this is cool.
No, I love it. And you eat your own cooking, because when you put out a dose of sunshine every day, you really have to say, okay, if I'm gonna own this brand, I can't be in a funk for long.
Yeah.
Like you, and I love it. Even the most successful motivational speakers on the planet get in a funk, but it's how long do you stay in the funk?
Exactly. And you have a choice about how long you stay in the funk, right? And I am very particular about the times when I'm not, I love people. I love being around people. I love everything about it. But there are times when it's I'm on my couch with my blanket and a book, or I'm just sitting and relaxing, right? Because I need to refill my cup again too. And so boundaries are really important for me, and saying no is really important. That was a hard one for me too. But once you learn how to say it, and either it just frees you up to be more of who you want to be, because you're saying yes to something else.
Wow. Okay, we're almost out of time. Final thoughts. Sara, what do you want to leave people with?
I just want you to know that you have everything that you need inside of you already to do whatever you want to do, be whatever you want to be, get the results that you want. It truly is all based around your thoughts and your feelings, because those drive the action that you take and get the results. So if you want a different result, think differently. Instead of what if, why not? And that will change the game for you.
Wow, that sounds like the title of a best-selling book.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to end with her website, which is SaraSchroederBusinessCoach.com. The great Sara Schroeder. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.